Crimson, written by Paradigm Shine. The Pegasus slid the bolt shut. And the second. She forced her hoof against yet another iron bolt. And finally came the third. That one was always the most stubborn. It was coated with a thick red coat of rust. All three of them, actually. It was probably time to replace them. After all, it had been over 3 years since he had them installed. Not yet! Going into town and buying those things would cause too much attention. Oh, no. I can't have that. Fear grew in her heart. It wasn't exactly normal to have 3 bolt locks in one's door, especially in a town like Ponyville. There were never any robberies, murders, or such things here. Or at least, not for a long time. Maybe an Ursa incident here and there, but never on a daily basis. The Pegasus was grateful for her proximity to the hazards of the Everfree Forest, though it was a good excuse for her otherwise unusual overprotection. When ponies would ask questions, she just cited living next door to the most dangerous forest in Equestria. Ponies didn't ask questions anymore. The mare let out a nervous sigh, and slumped down against the firm wooden door of the cottage. Oh, why does it have to be like this? Why can't I tell any pony? Should have told them years ago. Oh, Fluttershy, why are you such a worrywart? An icy cold gripped her heart as the reality set in. She knew she couldn't tell any pony. There was a very good reason for that. No. Too much time has passed. Too many mistakes have been made. At this point, it was too late. Tears began to fall down her cheeks as the Pegasus sobbed. Her sobs erupted into wailing as she began to bawl. You're such a monster. No! Fluttershy denied. Remember the red? Of course you do. It was everywhere. Be quiet! What? Are you going to kill me too? You like to, wouldn't you? Shut up! The Pegasus's mental battle was interrupted by 3 tentative wooden taps. Some pony was at the door. Her heart stopped. Fluttershy, dearest, are you in there? A quiet voice spoke. The Pegasus remained silent. I can't hear you, dear. Please open the door. Fluttershy closed her eyes shut. Oh no, not now. Please, Rarity, not now. She stole a glance at the clock. 8:15 p.m. There was still time. She sighed and slowly got up to her hooves. She unbolted the locks and opened the door a crack. A rust of cold air escaped into the cottage. Hi, Rarity, Fluttershy whispered, managing a weak smile. Rarity stood in the dark cold, a crimson-red scarf hugging her neck. Her face had the look of concern. Good. I figured as much you'd be home at this hour. Fluttershy, dear, would you let me in, please? I'd like to talk to you. Rarity's teeth chattered. It's been a long time since we talked. You know, girl to girl, as it were. She smiled. Fluttershy's heart sank. As much as she wanted to deny the request, she couldn't leave her friend hanging in the cold. It wasn't her nature. And there's still time. Fluttershy opened the door and let the fashionista in. Brrr! It's positively frigid out here today. Have you been outside? No. Fluttershy took Rarity's scarf in her mouth and hung it on a hanger. That's a very nice scarf, Rarity. Oh, why thank you, dearest. Designed it and stitched it myself. Would you like one? I have a few more like that back into boutique. It would be my pleasure. Oh, yes, thank you, Rarity. That would be wonderful, Fluttershy said as she gazed at the red scarf. And gazed. Fluttershy, darling? Well, it's not the Mona Lisa, but dear, I do appreciate your admiration. Fluttershy broke out of her fixation. Oh, sorry. I'll go put some tea on. Oh, don't worry yourself, dearest. I'll take care of it. Fluttershy plopped herself down on a pillow as Rarity prepared the tea. Chamomile? Rarity asked. Yes. An awkward silence fell. So, how have you been, Fluttershy? I haven't seen you for nearly a week. I come by quite a few times, but you never seem to be home. What's been keeping you so busy, Oh, just the usual. I lost a chicken this week. It took a long time before I found him. Fluttershy lied. A whole week, dearest? Rarity raised an eyebrow as she poured 2 cups of tea from the pot with her magic. Yes. Rarity set the teacup on the table in front of Fluttershy and sat down across from her. She took a delicate sip from her own cup, levitated it down, and sighed. We are all a little bit worried about you, dear. Fluttershy's eyes became saucers. What? Who? Rarity gazed into her tea. You know, the others, and I, Twilight, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and even Pinkie Pie. None of them see you much anymore. They say you become distant. Rarity looked up. You have, dear. Oh, don't worry about me, Rarity. Please. I've sent you countless invitations to the spa in the past few weeks. Surely you weren't too busy every time. Fluttershy hid behind her mane. I'm sorry, I don't think I got... And I know you got them. They disappeared from your mailbox each and every time. One time, I saw you bring the invitation inside yourself. Rarity looked guilty. I'm sorry, dear. I know it's not right for a lady to snoop, but I think it's alright sometimes, if our friend is in trouble. It's nothing, Rarity. Please, I'm fine, the Pegasus whispered, glancing up at the clock. Then why were you crying? Fluttershy bit her lip. You were crying just now. I could hear you from outside, dear. Your eyes are still red. It's none of your business, Rarity, Fluttershy spat, slamming her hoof on the table. Tea soaked the table mat. Fluttershy started shaking and began to cry. I'm so sorry, Rarity. Please forgive me. I didn't mean... I'm your friend, dear. I think it is my business. Rarity spoke calmly. And it is my duty to help out a friend in need. Rarity took a cloth and began to clean up the spilled chamomile. Fluttershy hid behind her mane again. You can tell me what's bothering you, dear. I won't tell any pony. I promise. I know I may have been a little, loose-lipped on 1 or 2 occasions in the past, but personal things like this, I wouldn't dare say a word about. You know that as well as I do, Fluttershy. Rarity levitated her own teacup across the table and poured some tea into Fluttershy's now depleted cup. She sighed. I know things have been stressful the last few years, with, the disappearances. How do you think Applejack's been handling it? Quite well, actually, to tell you the truth. We've all been hurt by what happened, dear. Fluttershy quickly glanced at the clock. 8:40 p.m. Rarity swirled her spoon around, absent-mindedly. You know, there isn't a night that goes on that I don't think of. Well, what happened? 1 month, 5 ponies, gone. Extinguished from Equestria. Just like that. Fluttershy winced. I was so worried for Sweetie Belle after that. I slept with her for months, and barely ever let her go anywhere by herself. I didn't get much sleep that year, but of course it was worth it. Anything to keep her safe from whatever it was that was committing those horrid atrocities. Whoever would do such a thing? I really can't imagine. Rarity, I I mean, after this much time, the fear isn't what it used to be. Rarity was still lost in her thoughts. The memories, of course, will be with me forever. But it's been so long now. Things have gone back to normal. Ponies go about their daily lives again, and have been doing so for so long, they moved on. We all have. It wasn't easy, not in the slightest, but we've moved on, so why haven't you? Fluttershy's eyes started to the clock again. Rarity followed Fluttershy's gaze and looked back at her with a raised eyebrow. Why do you keep looking at the clock, dear? You're expecting something to happen, aren't you? Something you don't want me to see. Fluttershy gasped. What? Was I looking at the clock? I wasn't looking at the clock. I was just looking at... The Pegasus' eyes scanned the living room. Your beautiful scarf! So red and warm and tasty. Tasty? Rarity blinked. Are you alright, dear? You look a bit pale. Toasty! I said toasty! Red, warm, and toasty! Fluttershy faked a toothy smile, but soon realized her mistake, and quickly slammed her mouth shut, praying to Celestia Rarity hadn't seen too much. I see. Rarity closed her eyes and took a sip of her tea. Well, you don't even have to tell me what's going on, dear. I don't? Nope. Rarity's eyes fluttered open. I know. Fluttershy's heart stopped. You've been hiding this for quite some time, haven't you? No, please. I'm surprised you kept the decayed up for this long. But it's obvious. Fluttershy, I'm on to you. Rarity leaned in across the table, her gaze piercing through the terrified Pegasus. Fluttershy folded her expanding ears back under her mane. Your standoffish and elusive manner, the way you bolt your doors every night, the crying, even your sudden interest in my fabulous crimson red scarf, it all makes sense now. Fluttershy was bawling her eyes out again. I'm so sorry, Rarity. You don't understand. Please give me a... So, who's the lucky stallion? Rarity sat back, with a smug grin. Fluttershy froze. What? Rarity took another sip of tea. You're in love, darling. I can't believe I didn't see this before, but it's quite transparent. Fluttershy stared, flabbergasted. Rarity giggled. It's quite alright, darling. No need to be embarrassed. I'm happy for you. Rarity leaned in across the table, her head on her hooves, wide-eyed like a little school filly. So, what's his name, You don't have to hide him from us. I'm sure he's an absolute gentlecolt. Oh, yes, very nice. Fluttershy retreated further into her mane, looking at the clock with her exposed eye. 9 p.m. Oh, this is wonderful, dear. Rarity brought her teacup down hard onto the table. Shards of porcelain were everywhere. Ouch! Oh dear, I'm so sorry, darling. I guess it got carried away with the excitement and all. I'll replace it, I promise. Would you bring me a bandage, dear? I'm afraid I cut my hoof. Fluttershy looked at Rarity's foreleg, crimson red, now slowly ebbing from it. Oh, Rarity. It's just a scratch, dear. Don't worry. I apologize for the mess I made. You must be expecting your special sun pony soon, I imagine? Certainly, judging by the way you've been eyeing on that clock. Oh, right. Fluttershy licked her lips, as the crimson red reflected in her eyes. Actually, he's already here. The end. Hello, every pony. Snogwritts here. Congratulations for making it to the end of this video. As always, I definitely enjoyed reading this fic to all of you. Alrighty then, let's start reviewing this fic. Okay, so here's this. The story starts off with an interesting beginning, which I've seen in many authors' writing, which of course is actually a very good strategy, as it helps grab your reader's attention. Specifically saying, if you want to start from the middle of a moment or conversation, readers are more likely to read on so they can find out what's going on. The story specifically showed how figurative language can be used to describe one's feelings, but I wish the author would use a lot more detail. In addition to all the great words that were used in the story, I do have a problem with how the story does not influence its tone, especially within its genre. As the reader, I felt like the tone in the beginning actually engaged me into the story, but then later around it slowly decayed in the writing itself, which kinda made the middle part a little bit less entertaining. In fact, it also affected the ending because it didn't really actually leave any feelings for the reader to actually think about. I believe that the author can do more with the middle part of the story between the conversation of Rarity and Fluttershy. Doing so will help the reader know more about these characters, especially saying that the main character is usually Fluttershy and this is actually a short story. The author did title this to the dark genre, although it didn't really have that dark feel, which of course leads all the way back to tone. Overall, this fic was actually pretty good, but I believe the author can do a lot of edits, so this fic can actually reach its full potential. Alright, let's wrap this video up. So, a quick announcement, yes, I have finally made my decision. I'm going to make the reviews separate from the readings, so you'll get 2 videos for the week. I was planning on uploading the reading on Saturday as usual, and then the day after there will be the review, so therefore every Sunday. Although, I still need to work on a few things before I start doing this on a weekly basis. Hope you all look forward to it. In the meantime, fellow viewer, you can check out the trailer by clicking on the annotation on the right. The link will also be down in the description below. Alrighty then, as always, thank you for listening, fellow viewer, and if you liked the video, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I upload weekly fanfic reads on a variety of genres. Alright, that's it for me. This is Snogwritts, signing out.